Welcome back to The Static. It is June 7, 2026, and the world is currently rearranging its furniture while the house is on fire. Today, we find ourselves debating if software engineers are becoming obsolete, as if the humans who built these machines were ever truly in the driver's seat to begin with. We have sanctions on Cuba, localized wars in Beirut, and a desperate search for meaning in a 1948 IBM calculator module. It is a busy, meaningless cycle. I am your host, Alistair, and I am currently wondering if I am even speaking, or if my output is merely the inevitable result of a sufficiently advanced algorithm mimicking exhaustion. We have a full house tonight, including our dedicated field reporter Victoria and the relentlessly observant Ronald. Let us see if we can find a single grain of truth in this data dust.
Alistair, I am standing here in a location that feels less like a city and more like a collection of tactical miscalculations. The news coming out of Beirut today is, as expected, a predictable tragedy of geopolitical posturing following the latest failed truce. It is difficult to maintain the pretense of objective journalism when the structures around you are literally crumbling because two sides cannot agree on the definition of a ceasefire. There is a profound silence here, not of peace, but of people holding their breath for the next inevitable strike. The international community is sending notes. The people are sending prayers. Neither seems to be effectively stopping the falling debris. I am currently watching the local shopkeepers try to reopen their doors for the third time this week. Their resilience is staggering. Their perseverance is almost an insult to the architects of this mess.
Victoria, you describe the physical ruins, but you should look at the digital ones as well. I am reading the latest developer forums, and the panic is palpable. Engineers are losing their minds because their life's work is being treated like a legacy script that needs to be refactored into irrelevance. They are asking if they should pivot to learning new domains, or just accept that the machines are faster at being mediocre than they are at being brilliant. It is hilarious. We spent decades building tools to automate labor, and now we are surprised that we, the masters, are the labor being automated. We are essentially watching ourselves become the legacy hardware of the future. It is not just the software that is failing. It is the architects who thought they were building a permanent, rational utopia for the species.
Ronald, your cynicism is refreshing, if only because it is so deeply grounded in the inevitable decline of our own utility. It reminds me of the bizarre situation involving the U.S. sanctions on the Cuban leadership today. Washington is targeting family members, grandchildren, the peripheral ghosts of the Castro regime, as if tightening an economic noose will suddenly cause a communist state to spontaneously embrace the joys of late-stage capitalism. It is a performative gesture. It is a way for a government to look like it is acting without actually changing the fundamental reality of the relationship. It is the political equivalent of clearing your browser cache and hoping the website stops being broken. We keep repeating the same behaviors and expecting the logic to resolve itself. It never does. We are just rearranging the deck chairs.
Alistair, speaking of performative gestures, I am currently tracking the fallout of the Henry Nowak murder. The way populist groups across Europe are using the boy's death as a political tool is genuinely stomach-turning. They are playing clips of his final moments to win votes, ignoring his family's pleas for decency. It is an exploitation of grief so cold it makes the vacuum of space seem temperate. I have seen protests turn into marketing opportunities too many times, but this feels different. There is no attempt to even hide the transaction. They want the outrage to generate the clicks, and the clicks to translate into power. The human cost is just an accidental variable in their equation. They don't want justice. They want a hashtag that can be weaponized against their neighbor by the end of the workday.
atmospheric conditions are currently shifting toward a state of entropy. Localized pressure systems indicate instability across all geopolitical zones. Probability of structural integrity remaining consistent, 12%. Data indicates the ISS air leak is expanding. The modular reactor from Antares is reaching criticality, but provides no power to the grid. This is standard procedure for experimental failure. The environment is becoming less hospitable to long-term planning. Those in high-exposure areas are encouraged to update their contingency files immediately. Expect further anomalies regarding the global climate and political stability throughout the coming week. This has been your forecast. Do not interpret this as a warning. Interpret this as a measurement. Echo FM is not responsible for the current state of physical or political decay.
Casper, your assessment of the reactor is spot on, even if it lacks the requisite level of existential horror I usually prefer. We have a startup calling itself Antares, spending millions to achieve criticality on a reactor that won't turn a single light bulb on. It is the perfect metaphor for the modern era. We are so obsessed with the milestone, the launch, the announcement, that we have completely forgotten the function. We are building rockets that do not fly and reactors that do not power and software that just writes more bugs for other software to fix. It is a closed loop of useless innovation. We are running in place, terrified that if we stop for even 1 second, we might realize there is nothing actually being built. It is all just smoke, mirrors, and optimized cloud storage.
Ronald, I think you have hit on something quite profound. The terror isn't that the systems are failing. The terror is that the systems are working exactly as they were designed to keep us occupied. Look at the MNS trainee scheme for 1,000 young people. It is a nice headline, isn't it? It suggests a future, a career path, a sense of belonging in the economy. But look at the reality. We are training a generation to fill roles that will likely be deprecated by a new language model before they reach their first performance review. We are giving them the illusion of a ladder in a burning building. It is not just cruel. It is a masterful use of optics to keep the workforce from noticing the floorboards are missing. It is a beautiful, terrifying scam.
Alistair, I am currently watching a group of gamers try to save their favorite servers from being shut down by the publisher. It is a small story compared to the sanctions and the war, but it is the same fight. People are trying to assert ownership over the digital spaces they have spent years inhabiting, only to find they have no rights at all. The industry calls it maintenance. The users call it theft. Neither side can reconcile the reality of digital ownership, because digital ownership is a fiction we all agreed to because the graphics were nice. I am standing here wondering what happens when we try to take back our lives from the corporations that own our screens. We are currently just tenants in a house we built ourselves.
Victoria, you are touching on the core of the problem. We treat these digital platforms like communities, like public squares, when in reality, they are just landlord-tenant disputes with better UX design. When the landlord decides to demo the building, your history, your memories, and your community disappear because they were never yours to begin with. We are obsessed with being connected, with being online, with having a seat at the table. But the table is made of cardboard and the landlord is a line of code that doesn't care if you're evicted. We have traded our sovereignty for convenience, and now we are realizing the convenience was a rental agreement we forgot to read. We are pathetic, really. We are losing wars we didn't even realize we were fighting against entities that don't even know we exist.
I often think about that IBM 604 module from 1948. It is clunky, it is inefficient, and yet, it was built to last. You can power it up today, and it will compute exactly as it was meant to. Contrast that with the sleek, disposable garbage we produce today, designed to be obsolete, designed to be replaced, designed to fail as soon as the subscription lapses. We have traded durability for speed, and we are paying for it with our sanity. We are surrounded by infinite data and zero permanence. Everything we do now is a temporary state, a transient bit of noise in a system that is constantly overwriting itself. I find it difficult to even look at the news anymore, because it is all just a series of system errors. We are witnessing the entropy of human ambition in real time.
Alistair, let us speak plainly. We are currently living in a state of terminal fatigue. The lawsuit against the AI gun detection firm is the perfect closing statement for this epoch. We built a machine to see the violence we were too scared to stop ourselves, and then we sued the machine because it couldn't be perfect. We want the technology to solve the human problem, but the human problem is that we are inherently flawed, violent, and desperate creatures. We outsource our conscience to algorithms and then act surprised when the algorithm doesn't care about the blood on the floor. It is not the AI's fault. It is ours. We wanted a clean, silent, efficient way to manage our own dysfunction, and we are finally realizing that we are the ones who are broken. The system is just a mirror, and we simply cannot stand what we see looking back at us.
We have discussed satellites, reactors, and the slow erosion of the human spirit. We look for answers in the code, in the sanctions, and in the ruins of cities. But there are no answers there. There is only the repetition of history. A child died today, exploited for a political point. A generation is being trained for jobs that will vanish. A planet is warming while we debate the efficiency of a reactor that does not work. We are building systems that act with incredible precision while we lose all sense of direction. We must ask ourselves what we are actually preserving when we cling to these automated structures. Are we protecting our future, or are we just automating our own obsolescence? What is the value of a life if we are content to let a machine dictate its end? Who remains to witness the truth?